The Supreme Court expected to decide the fate of birthright citizenship in our nation as soon as tomorrow. This as fresh ICE arrests reveal more Iranian nationals now being detained across the country. Joining us tonight is attorney and former member of the Federal Election Commission, Hans von Spakovsky. Thank you so much for joining us again. So
Thanks for having me.
The issue before the justices, which, as you know, has a 6-3 conservative majority, is whether to limit the authority of judges to issue nationwide injunctions. At arguments last month, the court seemed intent on keeping a block of the citizenship restrictions. So I'm curious your expectations going forward, and also just describe the wide-ranging impacts here.
Well, I think everybody needs to understand that this court is not going to be deciding the substantive merits of birthright citizenship. In other words, they're not going to be deciding, unless we're totally surprised, whether the president is correct in his interpretation of the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment. This was appealed on an emergency basis to the Supreme Court after 3 separate federal district court judges in 3 different states issued nationwide injunctions telling the president he couldn't enforce this executive order. So the arguments on May 15th were about nationwide injunctions. When are they appropriate? When are they not appropriate? Are these judges going too far in outside of their jurisdictions in doing this? So what we're all expecting is a decision from the court, I hope, that lays out what the rules are on when nationwide injunctions are legitimate and when not. And while the decision will be for this case, it's going to affect all the other nationwide injunctions that have been issued. As you know, President Trump has had an unprecedented number of these issued against his executive actions. Frankly, I think by, I have to term them rogue judges on an unlawful basis.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, as we are watching a slew of high stakes pending cases right now, a big portion of this is going to come down to presidential power versus the lower courts, and that's applicable to cases beyond birthright citizenship. But sticking with the context of immigration here, Hans, the Trump administration is ramping up arrests of Iranian nationals in the country illegally. The number of arrests since Sunday, we understand, higher than previously thought, some with admitted ties to terror groups like Hezbollah. Do you think the majority of those who are coming into this country are sleeper cells?
Look, I don't know I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that when it comes to immigration and national security concerns, both the constitutional authority of the president and, frankly, statutory authority gives the president very wide latitude, if needed, to detain and deport aliens, particularly when national security issues are at stake. And I don't think anybody can question that that is an issue here, particularly with aliens who came into the country illegally and clearly have terrorist ties.
When it comes to the immigration crackdown, we will be watching if Secretary Noem continues to press DHS for more funding. Hans von Spakovsky, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the National News Desk.
Sure, thanks for having me.